What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tape Tune, the show where we talk about some of my favorite horror movies in my VHS collection. I'm Larry Downs, and it's spooky season, so we feel a little obligated to talk about the one. You know the one. It kicked off the slasher genre, and its legacy still lives to this day. And no, we're not talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've already covered that in an episode of the Tape Tune, and you should check that one out after this. But since they won't let me talk about how great TCM is anymore, we're talking about the original Halloween by John Carpenter and Deberah Hill. Halloween is legendary and has been so since 1978 and introduced us to the infamous killer Michael Myers, who has been hacking and slashing for over 40 years under the handle of a few different directors. And whether the movies are good or bad, Michael Myers go Michael Myers, and the masses have dubbed him the King of Halloween. In fact, this year, 2022, a new Halloween movie has just come out, Halloween Ends, bringing another end to another Halloween trilogy. And although it's done really well in the box office, which is fantastic for the state of the horror genre, I've heard nothing but cries from the masses about how it's just kind of shitty. And I revel in the fact a little bit that 2022 is the year that a new Hellraiser movie was more well received than a new Halloween movie. As I try to savor this sweet little victory, let's get into the guts. This movie is directed by one of the greats. Not necessarily around here, considering he's too good at his craft and his movies are too well made, but either way, we're talking about the man, John Carpenter. He's been responsible for numerous things, and if you don't know this guy's name yet, you're beyond help. But he's been involved in Assault on Precinct 13, The Thing, They Live, and he even made a short little cameo in the new Foo Fighters horror movie Studio 666, which was really fun. He also called upon Deberah Hill to help him write this movie, who would later go on to help with Halloween 2, The Fog, and other Carpenter projects. To star, we have Donald Pleasence, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Nick Castle as the Shape. Donald Pleasence is fantastic and is in tons of movies that we love, like Prince of Darkness, Phenomena, and multiple more in the Halloween run. And Jamie Lee Curtis, what can we say about her that she can't say for herself? Jamie has been taking hits from Michael this whole time and is finally putting her character Laurie Strode to rest after this last Halloween movie, or so they say. But I've watched enough TV and read enough comic books to know that you're never really out until you're under. But what's this movie about? Let's put on the mask and find out. Roll the film. This movie starts out with an iconic opening, followed by our first scene. We get this POV shot from the view of little Michael Myers. It's Halloween and he's home alone with his sister babysitting. But she's got other plans, because she's inviting this boy over who must not have very good stamina, because as soon as he goes up, he's coming right back down and out the door. Michael then goes up to his sister's room and brutally stabs her to death, only for Michael's parents to arrive shortly and ship him off to the loony bin. 15 years later, we have Dr. Loomis and a nurse going to the local crazy house to pick up one of Loomis's patients to be transferred. The patient is the same Michael Myers from the beginning of the movie, and if Loomis wanted to get this nurse on edge, he's doing his job.
Just trying to understand what we're dealing with here.
Unfortunately, when they arrive, they see that a breakout has ensued and that the patients are all over the lawn. As Loomis exits the car to check things out, this nurse is attacked by someone who jumps on the car. Frantically, she gets out and he hops into the car and takes off. Loomis is hip to what has just happened and lets us all know.
The evil is gone.
And that Michael Myers is on the loose and going back to his hometown of Haddonfield. Michael makes his way back to his old house and by chance notices his new thing, Laurie freaking Strode, hanging out right at his old doorstep. So of course Michael stalks the teens around the neighborhood, and since this is 1978, no one gives a fuck. Loomis finally makes his way back to Haddonfield and alerts the police, and they soon find out he's not kidding around. A string of killings is happening in this small town and it's pretty clear who's behind it. Will Michael hack and slash his way to his new it girl? Or will crazy Dr. Loomis get everyone so shook they overcome this nightmare and put a stop to Michael Myers? Take a trip back to Haddonfield and find out in John Carpenter's Halloween. To be totally honest with you, I'm not that big of a Halloween guy. Don't get me wrong, I know that it's great, but the thing is, this movie is just so vanilla. And I mean, I only know one person who likes vanilla every time. That being said, I can't deny that this movie's cultural and historical significance in the world of movies and in horror. One thing I can say about this movie is that it really encompasses everything we love about our favorite spooky holiday, Halloween. It just wouldn't be the same if I didn't wake up, put one of these 10 different movies on, jam out to the Monster Mash, and vacuum my house before the trick-or-treaters arrive. The characters in this are just fun to follow. Laurie Strode just isn't your typical dumb lead girl, and honestly, in recent years, my favorite character has been Dr. Loomis. I love this insane shithead. He's constantly running around like a maniac who's never learned how to approach people, and is the kind of guy that says weird shit that just makes everyone uncomfortable.
Gone from here! The evil is gone. Oh, I'm gonna out now.
And as always, Michael gives us a standstill performance for paving the way for the horror genre and constantly giving us more and more and more and more and more. Halloween is a perfect fit for us here at the Tape Tomb. Here's some facts about Halloween. With a budget of $300,000 and a 17-day shoot, Halloween would later go on to make $47 million at the box office. That's an equivalent of $150 million in today's dollars, making it one of the most successful independent films of all time. Hammer Bros Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee were both approached for the role of Dr. Loomis in this film, and they both turned it down due to the low pay. Lee would later go on to say that it was one of the biggest mistakes of his career. Thank you all so much for tuning into another episode of the Tape Tomb. I've been your host, Larry Downs, and if you liked this week's episode, make sure you click that like and subscribe button down below, or drop me a comment telling me what other movies I should talk about in future episodes. Tune in every other week to our sister series, Airlock Shock, starring Nick Haskin. He's always talking about really cool and not so cool, but which makes him cool in our eyes, sci-fi movies, just like we do horror here at the Tomb. Once again, I'm your host, Larry Downs. Stay spooky, my friends, and we will see you in the sequel.